All right, so today we're going to be doing the equations and inequalities questions on our semester exam review. I decided to do 2 and 4. 2 has a lot of distributing and combining that we'll end up doing. And number 5 here, sorry, I don't know what I said, 2 and 5. And number 5 has some fractions. So I did an equation and inequality. I tried to get kind of a mix of things that you're going to see. So let's take a look at question 2 first. All right, so question 2 says 10x minus 4 times x minus 2 equals 12x plus 7 times x plus 3. All right. So remember our steps that we follow when we solve equations. We do first we distribute if we can, then we look for fractions, we combine, we get all our x's on one side, all our numbers on the other, and then we solve for one. Okay. So we're going to start with distribution. Now, what I want to point out is, remember, when you distribute, so I'm not going to do anything to 10x, it comes straight down, but when I distribute, I'm not distributing a 4, I'm distributing a negative 4, okay? So I want to make sure that not only do I distribute that negative 4, but that I do it to both terms in the inside of the parentheses. A common mistake I see is, number 1, you either don't distribute to the second term or you don't pay attention to the signs. So negative 4 times 1x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. And if you need to, draw that wall between the two sides of your equation where the equal sign goes. Okay? Then we have 12x, which I'm not doing anything to. And then I'm distributing this positive 7. So positive 7 times x is positive 7x. Positive 7 times 3 is positive 21. Okay, now I'm going to combine my like terms. Now what this means is I'm going to combine only things that are on the same side of the equal sign. So even though I've got 10x, negative 4x, 12x, and 7x, I can combine these two together and these two together. I can't combine across the equal sign, which means I can't go through this wall. So we're going to combine the two things at a time. So I have 10x minus 4x. When I combine those terms, all I do is combine the I do the math on the coefficient. So 10 minus 4 is 6x. I didn't do anything to the plus 8, so it comes straight down. 12x plus 7x would be 12 plus 7, which is 19x plus 21. Now I'm going to get all my x's on the left. So, okay, the reason I'm done now is because I have an x and a number over here and x and a number over here. I don't have more than one of any type of thing. I've combined all my like terms. Now I'm ready to get my x's on one side and my numbers on the other. So I'm going to start by moving my x's to the left. I don't have to move them to the left. You could just as easily move them to the right. But when I was a kid, I was trained to move them to the left, so that's what I do. 6 minus 19 is negative 13x. And then 21. Now, I didn't make it positive 21 because positive is like assumed. If you don't see a sign, it's assumed. Now I want to get the 8's over there, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides so I can zero this out. And I have negative 13x equals 13. That's worked out nicely. Divide both sides by negative 13, and I get x equals negative 1. Okay, so that's my answer. Now, I can check my answer using my calculator. Okay, so what I do is I put the equation I started with. So I'm not going to start here or here or here. I'm going to start with the original equation. So I'm actually going to go back to the printed paper, and I'm going to put the original equation back in my calculator. Remember, I'm going to put what's on the left here in y1, put what's on the right in y2. Now, so I have 10x minus 4 parentheses. I did not put the parentheses. Okay. X minus 2. Just like I see in the problem, 10x minus 4, x minus 2. And then in y2, I'm going to put 12x plus, whoopsie, that's not a 7. 7 parentheses x plus 3. Okay, now I'm going to look at the table. Now, if I'm not sure where, so I think my answer, I got x equals negative 1. So I'm going to look at the table, and I'm going to scroll a bunch. I mean, if I'm lazy, I could do second table set, but I'm almost there now. And I look at 1. When I look at 1, I see 1, 2, 2. That means that y1 and y2 are equal. That means the left side is equal to the right side, which is what I want to see. So that means that x equals -1 is my correct answer. Now let me ask you a question. If I was taking a semester exam and I had 2 minutes and 15 seconds per question, we are at 5 minutes now. Do you think that going straight to the calculator might be a good idea? I hope you're all nodding, yes. Going to the calculator is a great idea when we are in a multiple choice, low time, high stakes type environment. So if I were you, I would put this right into the calculator. Okay, so that's what I would start with, is putting it in the calculator. Obviously, we need to know how to do these steps because they might ask us, well, what do you do first? Where did they make a mistake? But if all they're asking me to do is find the answer, I can do that with the calculator. Okay, let's look at the next question, which is number 5. Okay, number 5 is an inequality. Okay, so number 5 is 1/2 x plus 14 is less than 5/3 x minus 7. Okay. Well, the first step is to distribute. There's nothing to distribute. And the second step is we hate fractions. So we got to get rid of this fraction. Okay, both of these fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything by the common denominator. The common denominator in this case is 2 times 3. It's 6. Okay, so I'm not multiplying it just by the fractions. That is a mistake that I have seen made a lot. I want you to multiply it not just by the fractions. I want you to multiply it by everything. Okay, everything inside there. Okay. So 6 times 1/2 x is 3x. I don't know what 6 times 14 is, but I have a calculator, so 6 times 14 is 84. My sign is less than. 6 times 5/3, which would be 6 times 5 divided by 3, is 10. Remember, if you don't feel like putting in the fraction, remember we can always do alpha y equals to put a fraction in, but if you don't feel like putting that fraction in, you can multiply by the top and then divide by the bottom, which is what I did. 6 times -7 is -42. Now again, some of our numbers are big, but I'm not afraid of big numbers. I'm a little afraid of fractions, but I have a calculator. Whole numbers, I can do anything with whole numbers, okay, even if they're big. So now I'm going to start solving this, okay? I've got, all my terms are combined. I've only got one of each type of term on either side of the equal sign. And you can put the wall down the middle if you want to. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that, okay? And now I'm going to start moving my stuff to the left or right. I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides. This zeroes out, giving me -7x plus 84 is less than -42. Now I'm going to subtract 84 from both sides. I get -7x is less than -126. Now, this is the point when I'm solving an equation when all of my math senses start to tingle and I start to go on high alert and I'm like, okay, something's about to happen maybe, I don't know. If I am dividing by a negative number, which I am, I have to flip the sign. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to wait and put anything in the calculator. I know I'm dividing by a negative sign. I'm immediately going to flip my sign because I know that if I don't do it now, I'm going to forget to do it later. Now I have an x over here, and I have -126 divided by -7, and that gives me 18. Okay, my x should be greater than 18. Okay, now I can also check this in the calculator. So in this case, I'm going to use my testing tools, all right? So I'm going to use the test. Remember, you go second math, and there's that test option above it. That's what we're going to do. First, we're going to put in the left side. And again, we put the original equation. So we go back to the paper. And it's got a fraction, so I'm going to put a fraction. 1/2. Remember, to get out from underneath there, you got to put the x next to it. 1/2 x plus 14. Now, at this point, instead of putting it in y2, I'm going to go to second math. And I'm going to put my test. And it has in the original, I don't care what my answer had. In the original, I had a less than sign. So I'm going to put 5, which is a less than sign. And then I'm going to do alpha y equals. I'm going to do 5/3 x minus 7. That looks exactly 1/2 x plus 14 less than 5/3. It looks exactly like what I've got. So now I'm going to go to the table. I see a lot of zeros. Okay, so I got x is greater than 18. Well, I'm happy about that because all of everything that's less than 18 is a 0. And remember, 0 is false, O is no, 1 is fun. I don't know, 1 is true. So O is no. If you see a O, that means no, it's not true. If you see a 1, big fun, it's true. I don't know what to say. Okay, if you see a 1, it's true. Now, I got to 18, and it still says false. But that's okay because my sign says greater than. It doesn't say greater than or equal to 18. But once I go bigger than 18, I'm getting true. So I know that my answer is right. If you wanted to, you could use the same strategy from the get-go. Okay? If you don't feel comfortable interpreting this 0 and 1 in the calculator, this might be a question you save for later because you know you're going to have to do some very careful, meticulous work on it. Okay? If you have any other questions, you be ready for those when we review on Monday.